Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We're going back to that horrible world known as the JRC, but before we do the usual disclaimers, if you are unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, you're going to find all the pertinent links right there in the description box. Please in particular take note of the article written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics. In it, they interviewed over 800 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. The Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read that article so much. They threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic refused, so you know the drill. Please read the article. Share on all your social media. Also included is NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding just in case the JRC ever actually does see through with their threat. Trigger warning 1. When we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips or surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please make sure to use the headphones. Trigger warning 2, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously parental supervision is very much advised. Alright folks, where we left off, response. Before we get into the response, anybody else kind of see throughout the comments that the JRC keeps making the same bullshit arguments over and over and over again, and the FDA has to explain it to them over and over and over again? It's like they think in the old school propaganda, if I say it so much, eventually someone will believe me. Yeah, maybe the Kool-Aid drinking variety, but the rest of us who live in the real world and have worked in this field think you are insane. I'm just putting it out there because I kind of feel bad. Like, I hope that the FDA, after they were done, had a nice bottle of good scotch to settle in with, because holy crap, if I had to be the one dealing with this. Whew. Response. The FDA acknowledges there is language regarding treatment resistance that does not precisely define a refractory subpopulation in the labeling for certain other devices that have different intended uses and different intended patient populations. Put that in layman's terms. We understand that as of right now, there is no way for there to be a correct definition of a refractory subpopulation that would somehow benefit from being tortured by others instead of us torturing ourselves. The argument still doesn't make sense, people. You need to get the punishment model the hell out of medicine because it has zero place there. Just saying. And also, we're talking about certain other completely different devices here. The ECT has to do specifically with electricity being shot into the brain. It is not skin shock where electrodes are put on some of the most vulnerable parts of your body and then shot through with electricity just below the lethal limit. These are not the same things, nor are they used even remotely for the same reasons. Even though the JRC just tried to argue that they are, not even remotely close. Okay? However, the FDA's position is not that imprecise descriptions of a refractory patient population are necessarily inadequate, but rather that in the case of ESDs used for SIB or AB, labeling stating that the device should only be used in a refractory subpopulation would not correct or eliminate the unreasonable substantial risk of illness or injury to that population. Thank you. Thank you. My point. By limiting it to only literally the most vulnerable kids, there you don't eliminate the risks. Again, put down the crack pipe. Alright? But if we use it on a smaller subpopulation, or if we could define them, it makes your means and methods look even that much more inhumane and barbaric. Okay? Are you all like reincarnated inquisitors? Because it kind of seems that way. Just say. This is because, in the case of ESDs, the available data and information do not establish that the devices are effective for treating SIB or AB in people who are refractory to other approaches. And the way the JRC conducted their study, it was so damn vague that we had to go through a whole lot of doublespeak to actually get to the heart of what they even were trying to imply. There were no controls in place. There were no longevity studies where they caught up with the kids no longer on the device 10, 15, 20 years down the road. And we've been at this for 3 decades, folks. Those people are out there for them to reach out to and ask. Okay? Spare me. You can't even call that study that the JRC put forward an actual study. There's no protocols. There is zero scrutiny. We have the vaguest terminology on planet Earth that you like literally need someone who works in this field to act as a translator for you for it to make any form of coherent sense. It's not evidence. It's not evidence. All right? Let's continue, shall we? Thus, given the serious risks posed by the ESDs for SIB or AB applied to refractory patients just as they do to others, the risks of this device outweigh its benefits regardless of whether the other options may have been attempted, and limiting its use to refractory population would in no way change this. In fact, because the proper steps were not ever taken for a good majority of the poor kids who get strapped up on this device, we have no idea if it's the so-called positive supports that were the ones that over time, as is inevitable when you do things right, is what caused the behavior to go down, or if it was a direct result of the ESD, because the JRC does not know how to conduct a proper research study or clinical study paper to save their souls. Okay? So, we don't know that what the JRC is saying is true. And for us to actually be for us to believe that that was a legitimate argument, we could have to believe in the JRC's distrust me bra policy. You know, the one where we only use it for this and this and this, where we've got multiple court documents, ER documents, witness testimonies, parent testimonies. We got testimonies that have testimonies that all say the polar opposite. Yeah, that, right? So we don't know because these kids were not given a proper, right after diagnosis, a proper full functional behavioral assessment. so that a good baseline, a good foundation could be the very beginning of forming a treatment program best suited to that particular patient. Of course, nothing is going to work when you don't take the proper steps and throw your kid in one program to another. You don't even know if the program at that particular school, without a full functional behavioral assessment to be there to be informative and guiding, whether that program is actually going to specifically address your kid's issues or not. So how do you know? How can you say 100% for sure that nothing else will work when the proper steps that are put in place the way that they are for a reason would not have helped? You can't. This is that whole true believer bullshit. I guess it's what they say is true. Stupid is forever. And cruel and barbaric stupid will be here to haunt humanity until, the final trumpet sounds. On that somber note, we're going to go ahead and close out on this one, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few we do tend to get removed from time to time. You know the drill, folks. Please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit the comments. I appreciate your time. As always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. I know I didn't finish the paragraph, but yeah, I'm getting bored of repeating myself. Y'all have a great night. Bye-bye, everyone.